to Boulder City City Council. Call the meeting to order. Madam City Clerk, roll call and posting, please.
Thank you. The agenda was posted in accordance with Nevada open meeting law, and all members are present.
Thank you. We will now arise for the invocation by clergy David Pickett from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank Thee for the blessings of living in America, in Nevada, and in Boulder City. We thank Thee for the gift of time in our lives. Please help us to always be mindful of the stewardship that each of us has with each day, to lift others, to do good, and to serve those within our reach, especially the discouraged, the downtrodden, and the stranger. Please grant us the courage to do what is right and to resist what is wrong, regardless of the challenge. In all of our decisions, let us consider what is best for our shared and common good. Please bless us each with personal resolve to defend and promote the rule of law, our civil liberties, and our best democratic principles and traditions for the equal benefit of all, including those who may think, speak, or worship differently than we do. We ask for Thy blessing upon this meeting, that those who participate will feel welcome and respected, and that the decisions made here tonight will advance our community's best interests. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. You can stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the way of public announcements, we have first Christina Velarde, and if she would come forward and tell us something about your organization before we turn around and have a picture with you.
Well, thank you so much for having us today. As you mentioned, my name is Christina Velarde, and I have the pleasure of serving as president of the Junior League of Las Vegas. This month, we are celebrating our 80th anniversary, 8 decades of women serving our Las Vegas and Southern Nevada communities. Organizations that we all know and love, Help Us Southern Nevada, Shade Tree Women's Shelter, Ronald McDonald House all began their lives as a Junior League project, and today we're continuing to make that impact with organizations here in Boulder City, like St. Jude's Ranch for Children. And we have grown from 12 to over 600 women that volunteer with our organization. And we are so grateful to be here today to have the opportunity to share that with you.
So are you trying to say the current mayor of Boulder City is not encouraged or allowed to join your organization?
Mr. Mayor, if you would like to identify as a woman, you can come on down.
She's good, isn't she? She's good. She's good. So we would love to come down and join with you and your group that are here and get a photo if you'd like us to do that with you.
Thank you so much. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Careful with that.
I'll get your name badge ready.
You ever heard the word touche?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, everybody, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll definitely reach out to someone if we need to.
You want us just to stand right
Yeah, why don't you just stay right there?
As big as this
We're going to have another photo up, but we do have a proclamation for Detective Dubois, who's retiring after 30 years. Hopefully he's here. Come on forward with us.
So Detective Dubois has been with law enforcement for at least 30 years, as I read it, in different capacities, and particularly here in Boulder City. We appreciate what you do and how you've done it. And so when you walk out, we'll give you the presentation that it shows a lot of things that you've done that you already know, but thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we all ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Dad's here, his wife is here.
So which one's your dad?
The one with the Thank you for your service, sir.
Well, I understand you had that job too.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. What do I get?
You stand right in front of me.
Oh.
Right like this.
Right and stand
No,
up.
stand up.
Just remember, if you turn sideways,
Everybody
more
turn
than
sideways. Why don't you come over here? Come on, squeeze in there.
I don't want to everybody.
All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. That's it? Take that there.
That's why I said in our little group thing, I said, I'm not gonna know any of the police officers pretty soon. They're all leaving me. I have not.
We'll now open the meeting up for public comment. The first public comment is to talk about anything you want as long as it's on the agenda. And those in the room can come forward, identify themselves at the microphone, or call in at 702-589-9629. Anyone on the phone yet? Okay. Now, all of those here in the room would like to say something on the public comment are more than willing to do it at this time. And anyone who's still calling in, 702-589-9629. We'll wait a little bit. Seven 589-9629, or anyone here in the chambers. No one on the phone. We will close the initial public comment and move to approval of the regular agenda.
I move to approve the regular agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. And then for approval of the consent agenda, please.
To approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Unanimous. And that brings us to item number 3, presentation by the Boulder City Museum and Historical Association's annual report. Mr. Calvert. Please identify yourself and the major role you play.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm John Calvert. I'm the Chair for the Board of Directors for the BCMHA. And we are here to present the BCMHA Annual Meeting Report. There we go. As we present our report tonight, I'm reminded that the strength of the Boulder City Museum and Historical Association lies not just in our collections, but in the passion and dedication of this community. Today, we're excited to share major updates on our finances and our future, where we'll see how years of commitment are paying off and enabling us to make generational improvements. I have two pieces of incredible financial news to share, illustrating just how much progress we've made together. First, I'm thrilled to announce that the mortgage on the Boulder Dam Hotel has been paid off.
Wow.
This significant financial obligation, which stood at approximately $950,000 back in 2012, is now just a part of our history. So this achievement frees up substantial resources, allowing us to focus more on our mission. Second, we're deeply grateful to acknowledge the immense generosity of the Dan Bunch Estate. This donation includes approximately $310,000 in funds, along with dozens of amazing Desert Sands pottery pieces. This legacy gift is providing an essential foundation for several key projects. And finally, thanks to both of these funds and prudent management, we have also fully funded our emergency savings account, bringing us to industry standard levels, helping to ensure the long-term resilience and stability of the BCMHA. With this new financial strength, we have strategically allocated funds to a suite of critical initiatives to help future-proof the BCMHA and enrich our collections for everyone. We have begun allocating funds towards the Avenue C House preservation project, that's the Fenton House, securing a vital piece of Boulder City history. The creation of a dedicated research room and a digitizing room, modernizing how we interact with our artifacts. A new spectacular Desert Sands pottery exhibit, allowing us to properly showcase the valuable pieces from the Bunch Estate, and key improvements to 3 of our permanent exhibits, ensuring our stories remain fresh and engaging. A major focus this year is preparing our organization for the next century of historical preservation. We're currently in the process of tiering the museum's collections. This is a necessary step that nearly every successful historical museum eventually undertakes as its collection grows. This process prioritizes materials that best support our mission, and it's essential for a successful digitization program. So by tiering our collections, we can create fresh, engaging, and educational digital content that reaches far beyond the walls of our museum. I want to emphasize that we continue to provide excellent care for our materials and artifacts, but we're now revising our storage, cataloging, and utilization procedures to be more efficient and impactful. Our commitment to the digitization was recently strengthened with a significant grant we received from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, which provides the necessary equipment to launch our full-scale digitizing program. Our purpose is to connect the community with its history. We have officially created a research and educational outreach room designed to dramatically improve community access to our collections. This room will be accessible to the public Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. by appointment. And this is a dedicated space where students, historians, and residents can dive deep into the records and artifacts of Boulder City. The BCMHA is stronger and more resilient today than it has been in decades. We have eliminated debt, secured a major endowment, responsibly funded our emergency reserves, and most importantly, we have launched the strategic initiatives necessary to secure and share Boulder City's history in the digital age. So I just thank you for your trust and your membership and your continued belief in the power of our shared past. And now, I believe Hava has the next part.
Hi, my name is Hava Brown. I'm the Museum Development Officer for the Boulder City Hoover Dam Museum. Thank you for having us, and I'm happy to be here. I just wanted to say that when we did this initial report, We released it in October, and so some of my numbers have changed. So we do have about 171 members now. We have 15 participating businesses in the discount. We've had 3 member-exclusive events, including a Golden Knights ticket giveaway, which is going on right now. We've had over 40,000 people visiting the museum. And as of the end of this month, it'll be 443 children who have taken guided tours of the museum. We have over 6,000 people on our historic walking tour. Our membership partners are listed on the next slide. And they include lots of businesses around Boulder City. I'm sorry, can everyone hear me? So starting with Restaurant 1933, Cleveland's, the Museum Gift Shop, and ending with 2 of our newest members, BC Massage and Sound Therapy, which is located inside the hotel as well, and Utopia Pinball. On our next slide, part of my job is also working with sponsorship and donations. And so thank you to the city for the lovely grant of $105,000 last year. That does cover all kinds of museum programs. John mentioned the grant from Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. It was $12,000 for digitizing equipment. They also sponsor the walking tour, which is $5,000 a year. They also sponsor an exhibit inside the museum, which is $1,000 per year. We also got a very lovely sponsorship from the Boulder Dam Credit Union in $10,000, and that went straight into the research room that John mentioned. San Diego Gas and Electric gives us $1,000 each year. That's helping with the Avenue C House preservation, and Platinum Title also gave us $1,000 last year for a museum exhibit sponsorship. And I am pleased to announce that the Lions Club has verbally said yes to $1,000 a year for the next 5 years. So more to come with that. Going on to educational programs, I do list some pictures. We not only do educational tours that are different per age group, but we also do educational activities at the end of those tours. And grants and sponsorships pay for those educational activities. For instance, we work with Rubens Woodcrafts, and they create wooden hollyhocks that the kids can paint at the end of the activities for the youngsters. And then, so we go on to explain what hollyhock means to Boulder City, and that's part of the educational activity as well, and they get to take the hollyhocks home to their parents. So I do have pictures here of some of the educational programs. We had a great class. It's a school come in from Gilbert, Arizona. It's called Pathways, and these are kids from age 8 to age 18 and a half, and their sponsors. These kids are all neurodivergent, and coming up with an activity that everyone in that age group and activity and ability could do was really fun. So we gave them historical postcards and had them write a letter to themselves about what they loved about the museum. And then we mailed it to the school, so then the school could distribute the postcards. And some of the art that I saw, and a lot of people were very interested in the workers on the Hoover Dam and what they did. It was incredible to see. I love that. So, and they've already promised to come back again this year. More educational programs. I took the entire 3rd grade of Martha P. King around the museum. I'm also taking the entire 1st grade of Mitchell Elementary around at the end of February and the beginning of March. I've also taken, and Mr. Mays was present at the water filtration plant, took the Southern Nevada Water Authority group. These are a group of high schoolers, it's a youth council, into a tour of the old filtration plant. And we had Thomas's father, Mr. Memmer, who worked there in 1966 to 1982, explain his role at the water filtration plant to the Southern Nevada Water Authority Youth Council. It was very, very interesting. Going on to exhibit development, which is also probably the funnest part of my job, the most fun part of my job. We have Characters Unlimited had donated a character, which is now being, the character's placement is at the entrance of the museum. He actually sings a song that was written and sung and donated by a museum member, and that will be welcoming people into the museum. We have a tunnel projection project that was a member, Barry Jo Berman, donated her time and expertise to create that inside the museum. We are now working on telescoping video. That is from a 1935 video that UNLV was able to digitize for us, and we're going to be adding that to the museum. As in addition to the dam work description audio, a lot of our museum is accessible by reading, and we want to have our museum accessible by listening as well. So we'll be working on that. Characters Unlimited also donated a coin press, and it's a very passive income revenue share with us. I'd now like to introduce Jennifer Smith, our archivist. She's going to talk about the collections. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. For the record, my name is Jennifer Smith, and I serve as the archivist for the museum. So I briefly just want to add context to what's been shared. For our material donations for our collections, we've had 15 donors contributed 39 items. And out of those items, we've had 3 significantly unique items. As you can see here, we have a 1937 8mm film that Hav and I had the privilege of going to the UNLV film department and seeing that firsthand in action to be transferred digitally. And then our next item is our 1935 Fortune magazine collection, and it's featuring an article from Boulder Dam, a portfolio of watercolors by Stanley Wood. And then our next one is a drafting kit used from the Reclamation Service engineer Rufus C. Thaxton during the Hoover Dam construction project. And then our recent one that we have that wasn't included until from last year's record was a lithographs from William Willett. It's not on here. That was recently added to our collection. Okay, and then I'm going to go into our researchers overview. We've conducted 39 research projects. Out of those, we've had one notable projects from Broadbent Inc. And we've had Sarah Lane from the National Park Service, who's been working on developing educational lesson plans for the World War II Heritage Cities series. And we also had Deborah Saylor. She's a library media specialist, and she's doing a biography of Ida Browder, a pioneering businesswoman in Boulder City and founder of Browder's Lunch Cafe, which is now Dam Roasters. And recently, 2 weeks ago, I've had the privilege of helping Boyd Productions. They've requested permission to use an excerpt from an original Elton Garrett letter held in the museum's Boulder City Pioneers manuscript collection for the city of Las Vegas, commissioned documentary on the history of Fremont Street. So this documentary will be streamed on YouTube and air on the city's official channel and be used for educational purposes. This request represents a significant opportunity for the museum to showcase its archival collections and reflect the museum's role as a trusted regional source for primary source material used in highly visibility public history and educational media projects. Okay, and to the next slide, archive volunteer contributions. I'd like to highlight Jeannie Rutherford, and we've been very fortunate to have her back with us. Her commitment, her expertise has greatly benefited our efforts in our collections. She's provided helping with accessioning our collections, cataloging, indexing, processing our donated materials, and storing, and right now, currently storing and preserving our artifacts. That's a huge collection that we have also at the library basement. Okay, and next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to go into our collections and just help you guys understand our tiering and digitizing collections. So our primary focus is Hoover Dam and Boulder City during the period between the beginning of Boulder City project, Boulder Canyon project, from the 1920s through the 1960s when Boulder City was incorporated. So with our tiering collection, we have three. We have our primary, support, and instructional. Our primary collection preserves original objects from the Hoover Dam, early Boulder City era from 1920s to 1960s, and these are original, unique, and significant materials. They're high research, exhibits, and historical value. Then we have our support collection, which provides context and illuminates our primary collection. And it may be reproducible or commonly available, not essential on their own, but valuable in exhibits and education. And then our last tier is our instructional, or therefore our consumable collection. And this is our hands-on and educational materials intended for use rather than permanent preservation. These items can be replica artifacts or for school programs and temporary exhibits. And now into our digitizing. So we're currently right now, we are converting our physical collections into digital assets for preservation, so that's limiting our handling for those artifacts or documents. Research, which increases accessibility for our collections for our museum's programs and exhibits. And then public access to provide online access and improve searchability for those collections. And then once we're done with that, which will take a very long process, our next goal would be to after we've organized our collections, we can focus and create online exhibits from our collections. And let's see. And that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. And I'm going to turn it back to John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So wrapping up our presentation, can you get that slide back up? Yeah, the next, there we go. Just wanted to point out something that makes our museum unique in our association. You can see where most museums across the U.S. Get their funding from. On the left and on the right is where we get our funding from. And that big light blue on our side is us, operating income. So a majority of museums get over half of their funding from government grants in the private sector, where we are actually generating our own operating income through the museum. So the reliance on outside sources is very important to us, so that we can make that more of an even graph is what we're trying to look for there. And then finally, to close out, we've submitted the following material to the city. In October 25, the annual meeting report financial statements, our 990 filing, and in January of 26, the list of grants, request for funds, proposed budget, our copy of our strategic plan, and then as always, we have the following material on our website: our code of ethics and collection policy, balance sheet, our P&L, and our IRS 990 tax return. And that's all I have for you guys.
Any questions?
I do have a couple questions just because I serve on the board. I get that opportunity, which is nice. And Hava talked about volunteers, and I know that the one that you highlighted is one that's how many hours? I mean, it's incredible, right? The number.
I feel like Jenny, something, or
That's Jen.
oh, Jen.
Oh, okay, yeah. The number of hours of one volunteer, right?
Yes, yes.
Speak into the mic so we can hear you.
Definitely. Definitely
thought it was like 100 and
No, yes, it was over 100 hours.
over
Just from
100.
one volunteer.
So
Yes.
that sparks the question for me is volunteers. Do we need more? If we could have more volunteers, and if so, what volunteer opportunities are available? If there are people out there who might be listening that have a desire to volunteer at a community place and give back.
Oh, definitely, yes. That's something that we are definitely open to, and if they'd like to contact us, they can talk to me directly, and we can see where we can fit them.
And how
Yeah.
would they do that?
Go ahead. Yes, please. No.
We cross over when it comes to volunteers sometimes, so part of my job is outreach.
Just right into the microphone.
Sorry, part of my job as outreach is to collect volunteers when I can. So I collect volunteers when we're at public events. We attended the volunteer thing at I think Koki was part of that, over at Parks and Rec. So I had a table there. We got about 15 people who sign up to volunteer from there. I get people who volunteer during wine walks as well. And from the Southern Nevada Water Authority, I had the Henderson, one of the high schools in Henderson, their National Honor Society reached out to me. The whole Honor Society wants to volunteer for the museum. And so there are different places that people can volunteer. Right now, probably digitizing and helping with collections would be our primary. And that would be great for the Honor Society. But then we have other instances too, where I have members exclusive events. I always need people helping me set up and tear down and, clean up and that kind of thing. So there's always opportunity for more volunteers.
And it's a great opportunity to also see what's available there. I also put down membership. If you don't have the time, but you have some funds, how much is membership for a year?
Membership is only $30 annually, and $600 for a lifetime membership. And that is, of course, tax deductible as well. With that exclusive membership, we have parties, events. Like I said, we're doing the Golden Knights ticket giveaway now, and access to newsletters and all kinds of other things as well. It's only $30.
Right, and this is also to benefit, I think it's so important in a community where we have a little sense of pride, right, about how we became Boulder City. And it matters to us. And this is a place really where our roots are kept and archived, where I just got so excited because I was a school teacher to see all those kids, which are our branches, right, coming back to learn about where their roots came from and how they are who they are today. And history is not any good if no one visits it. And we don't know where we came from, and we don't know how we became who we are today. So I love that we have a place to bring, and we still, every once in a while, just get that odd piece of thing that comes in that's material that is authentic and to it. So if you have stuff sitting up in an attic, a basement, somewhere, right? When you start going through things and you say, oh, wait, what should I do with this? This allows people to see this. This allows people to be able to understand, again, what the city of Boulder City and Hoover Dam went through and how they became who they are, which I think is beautiful. So yes, we're social. Yes, we're fun. But more importantly, and most importantly, I think, is you guys are doing an amazing job sharing with everyone the story. And I so appreciate it. So thank you.
So before you leave, speaking of roots, why hollyhocks?
Hollyhocks? Hollyhocks are the actual official flower of Boulder City. And I know of some people who can grow beautiful hollyhocks and some people who have been trying forever and can't grow them at all. But they are a beautiful flower. They are a transplant. Like everybody was a transplant to Boulder City. We have no native people to Boulder City back in 1931. Everyone came to Boulder City to work on the dam, and they brought with them things that mattered to them from their hometowns. Hollyhocks were one of those things that came, and they sprouted and they grew here, and they came from the East Coast. And the fact that they can grow here still after 100 years is incredible, and they are the official flower of Boulder City.
Thank you.
So I thank you all for preserving history first and foremost, and I know Hava is always shaking the trees for volunteers, so I know you have plenty of those, and I hope you get more. I have a question. Do you share your information like with the Smithsonian or with other museums around the nation?
Locally, right now, yes. It's just local. Right now, it's, well, I had one from Colorado just recently. That was actually the Bureau of Rec that I've had recently helped them out with. But yeah, we're open to all museums. Yeah.
Okay. And in your briefing, in your presentation, you mentioned the sponsorship was $1,000 for each presentation, each exhibit. Is $1,000, does that go to a specific individual's exhibit, or is $1,000 just go to any exhibit?
I'm not sure.
I can talk about that.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so the $1,000 level actually does correspond to an exhibit in the museum. So if you're browsing the museum and you say, oh my gosh, I really want to sponsor this piece, it's available. I think we still have about 7 other exhibits that are available, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I was wondering because I'd like to sponsor some of the Black dam workers, an exhibit to put at the hotel. So I'll talk to you about that after. And that's what I wanted to know. Can you donate just for the exhibit, or it just goes in the pot for everything? So it is specific exhibits. And then my last question, or my last.
We can do both.
Oh, you can do both. Okay.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, we'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk.
We can do both.
Okay.
I also want to talk about the other historians. You asked if we work with anybody
Like
outside
the
of.
Smithsonian or.
And yes, we do. We work with other historians. I'm working with Levi Strauss historian right now on something.
Oh, neat. Okay. And I have hollyhock seeds. It took me 3 years. I kept cutting it down because I thought it was a weed because I forgot I had planted. Seriously. And it just grew up on its own. So if you need some, I'll pass it on. Yeah. Took a while, but they do grow. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to you and your team, but most of all, I just can't imagine Boulder City without the hotel and the restaurant there. It wouldn't be Boulder City. So that would break my heart. So I think that's wonderful that you guys are keeping it alive. And I didn't realize how much work goes into it, and I hope somebody comes out and volunteers for it. Thank you for all your efforts. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on, before you go away, could you really fast explain what the Avenue C House is? Because I think people might want to drive by it, right? We've said Fenton House, Avenue C House, but I don't think they realize what you've done with that or what it is.
I don't know exactly everything that we've done with it up to this point. If you drive down Avenue C, you'll see the newest looking house from 1932 on Avenue C. We've recited, I do know that part, but this house, as far as we can tell, is probably about the most historically unchanged of the dingbat houses in the floor plan. And so it was donated to us by Teddy Fenton's estate. And so we are in the process of rehabbing it, starting with preserving the outside and then working our way to the inside. And it's a really, really neat looking house. If anyone wants to see it, stop by the museum. Isaac, Roger, anyone there can run you over and get you in. So that's the.
It's looking really great, and the neighbors are very happy, they said, but it's going back to its roots again, right, about what it looked like? And so it gives you a representation of kind of what they looked like.
It's amazing the work that's been done by the crew that's been assembled to focus on that. They even had the siding milled specifically to match the correct profile. So I mean, the attention to detail has not been overlooked on this project.
Yeah, it's worth a look. Drive down. Thank you.
Thank you all. That brings us to bills. We need an introduction of bill number 2093. Need it introduced and waive the reading except for title.
I can introduce bill number 2093 and waive the reading except for the title.
Thank you. Bill number 2093, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, amending Boulder City Municipal Code, Title 11, Zoning and Subdivisions, Chapter 10, C1 Neighborhood Commercial Zone, and Chapter 11, C2 General Commercial Zone, to authorize residential uses on properties zoned for commercial uses, subject to certain requirements as required by Assembly Bill 241, 2025 legislative session, and clarify existing language regarding caretakers' residences, AM-26-384. This matter will be considered at the February 24th council meeting.
Thank you. And that brings us to number 5, which is matters pertaining to the collective bargaining, and it will require a public hearing after your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Hardy and members of the council. I'm City Manager Ned Thomas. This is a public hearing item for council consideration of Resolution 8098, approving the collective bargaining agreement number 26-014 between the City of Boulder City and the City Professional Firefighters Association, or the IAFF Local 5073. This is a 2-year agreement, and we appreciate very much all of the efforts on both sides to reach this agreement. Briefly, the agreement will be retroactive to July 1st. Provisions of the agreement will be retroactive to July 1st, 2025. And again, as a 2-year agreement, will extend through June 30th of 2027. Just a few of the key items on wages in the first year. There will be a retroactive adjustment of 4.375%. This represents a COLA plus a market rate adjustment. And then in year 2, any increase will be based on the consumer price index with a minimum of 2.25% and a maximum of 3.25%. So any increase will fall within that range. The new agreement also addresses any increases in health insurance and other benefits. On a monthly basis, the firefighters will be part of the city's insurance offerings through the Teamsters insurance program. And then finally, the other item that we negotiate over was incentive pay. And each of our firefighters, in addition to their base pay, may receive additional pay for their certifications for hazmat. That would be an additional 2% if they have earned that certification. And then an additional 1% for up to 3 or what are known as technical rescue certifications. And those pertain to specific items that are related to the work that they do here in Boulder City. For example, there's a vehicle and machinery certification, swift water rescue, high and low angle rope rescue, and wilderness rescue. And depending on which of those they choose, again, each firefighter can receive up to 3% additional above their base pay as an incentive for those additional certifications for the work that they do here. And with that, happy to answer any questions. Again, want to express appreciation of both sides for the work that they did on this agreement.
Any questions?
No, sir.
No questions, so we will open the public hearing at this time. Anyone who would like to come forward regarding this particular item? Or call in 702-589-9629. Seven oh 2-589-9629. Or anyone who would like to come forward. Anyone on the phone line? We'll close the public hearing and go to item B of number 5.
Our attorney is keeping me in line, which I always appreciate. I am required to publicly state the fiscal impact of that. So the fiscal year 26, current year that we're in, the overall increase will with benefits and medical insurance contributions will be $259,006.88. And then in the second year of the contract, the increase will be an impact to our overall budget of $493,155.34. And our finance department has analyzed that, and we will be able to cover those increases.
Thank you. Any questions? Appreciate it. Thank you. I will reopen the public hearing then. With that said, is there anyone who would like to say anything about the public hearing? Here in chambers. No one on the phone, Madam City Clerk, 702-589-9629. 702-589-9629 on a public hearing. If not, I will close the public hearing and go to item B of that, the resolution 8098, the resolution regarding that collective bargaining unit decision. Any questions about that? I would accept a motion to approve resolution 8098.
Move to approve resolution number 8098.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. We will now open for number 6 on Madam City Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Before you this evening is item 6, a discussion and possible direction regarding a potential ordinance amending our municipal code to create a breeder permit and establish regulations for the breedings of dogs and cats as required by NRS 574.353. So before we get into the direction, I thought I'd give just a brief overview of the history of this item and how far we've gone and where we have to go. So just a quick timeline and refresher. This issue was first discovered by my office after we had an individual who was cited for failure to spay or neuter, but pointed out the exception if there's a valid breeder's permit and the person did wish to breed their animal, but our code doesn't have any parameters on when a breeder's permit can be issued. And this could operate as a barrier to enforcement for the spay or neuter law if an individual does wish to breed. And so in looking at it, I brought this, among other animal control issues of the time, to council to seek direction on how we wanted to go about addressing them. So there was a multitude of animal control issues, but I'm just going to focus on the breeding issue here. On June 27th, 23, the council did direct me to research breeding licenses and review our current ordinance as a whole regarding the keeping of animals. I began working on one of many bills addressing animal control, but one was to create a breeder's permit, and I carried out a business impact statement notice as we're required to for anything that can restrict the operation or expansion of a business. We have to send notice of those potential regulations to any businesses and the trade associations to let them know, hey, this might affect your business, and please provide us comment. So we did that. We, in that process, had a lot of individuals seeking that the city prohibit breeding altogether. And so we did look at that, but there is a Nevada state law that requires the city to issue permits for breeding and regulation of breeding. So I did interpret that law as a preemption on the city's ability to prohibit breeding altogether, but wanted to seek an Attorney General opinion to confirm that interpretation. The Attorney General is the officer tasked with interpretation of Nevada's laws, Nevada state laws, and I thought that would be the most appropriate route to go. So in June of 25, we did receive that Attorney General opinion approximately over a year later, and they agreed, the Attorney General's office agreed that NRS 574.353 does require the regulation of breeding and preempts the city from prohibiting commercial breeding. But it did clarify the city is allowed to prohibit breeding as a hobby. So in July 8th, we brought that opinion to council and sought some direction on how best to regulate breeding. We discussed number of dogs and cats allowed to be bred, the appropriate age to breed and number of litters, minimum space requirements and zoning, fines and fees, as well as breeding as a hobby. And the City Council deliberated these topics at length, discussing the appropriate number of animals, ultimately supporting a limit of 3 dogs or cats total. They discussed, you all discussed and deliberated whether zoning restrictions would be appropriate, and majority believed that the minimum space requirements adequately limited where breeding could occur. The city also discussed minimum distance requirements, and ultimately there was not support for minimum distance requirements at that meeting. The City Council then directed my office to regulate breeding as follows: regulating commercial breeding and prohibiting breeding as a hobby. The commercial breeders would have to obtain a business license, home occupation permit. The ordinance would regulate dogs and cats. The other animals would not be addressed by this ordinance. The breeding limits would be a maximum of 3 dogs or cats total. Minimum breeding age would be 2 years, and then 1 litter every 2 years. And the council also asked for annual reporting so that these requirements, we can ensure that they are met and the animals are not being bred too often. Breeding conditions: the person has to have no less than 40 square feet of indoor space dedicated per female dog being bred, and 1,000 square feet of quality outdoor space, which is adequately shaded. The person must occupy a residence with clean and safe environment, adequate feed and water, properly heated and cooled, and animal control must inspect this residence upon the initial application and annually thereafter to determine compliance. The fees were directed by council to be at $250 plus actual costs for the initial permit, renewal at $100 plus actual costs, and then fines would be $500 for the first violation, $750 for the second, and $1,000 for the third. And we would enforce through citations and fines and license non-renewal or revocation for repeated violations. Animal control was here at that meeting and was comfortable with these. They felt that this enforcement would be manageable with current staffing. The bill was brought forward to council on November 10th for consideration, and at that meeting there was concern amongst council about the possibility of the close proximity of breeders, and it appeared that additional limits were sought. So the bill did not receive a second and did fail, and so now I'm seeking direction on the further regulation of breeding. And these are some options I thought we could focus the discussion. The discussion is not limited to these options. If there are other parts of the ordinance, which is included in your packet, that you want to discuss, you can. But at the last meeting, it seemed that the primary concern was this possibly being there being too many breeders allowed under this regulation. So here's some options for regulating it further. We can limit the number of breeding permits. We could revisit minimum distance requirements, or we could also revisit the zoning restrictions. And so with that, I submit it to council for your discussion and direction, and myself and staff are available for any questions.
So could you tell us what exists right now in the city of Boulder City for the breeding? Is that your...
So the chart before you as a handout was a refresher. It shows how the City of Boulder City's proposed ordinance compares with other jurisdictions. Currently, Boulder City doesn't have any of this in place. The only thing our code says with reference to breeding is you have to have a permit. It doesn't say how or when it can be issued, and that's really the issue we're trying to address.
Okay. So I open it up for discussion.
Does the state require, how many licenses does the state require that we have? How many do we have to have?
There's not a specific number, but in essence, one. The state's just requires us to regulate breeding and issue a permit for people that qualify. So it's really up to council how many, if a limit is desired, what that limit should be. We can limit it how we choose.
And how many tavern licenses do we have?
We have 3 tavern licenses.
Those were my 2 questions of you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the tavern license?
So in our liquor code, the tavern license only allows the sale of alcohol, and you can't sell food. It's essentially just a bar.
Okay.
And so there are only 3 in our jurisdiction. There are lots of other businesses with bars, but they are in conjunction with another business, restaurants, other types of businesses. So the taverns by law cannot serve food. And so there's only 1 per allowed per 5,000 people. And since we have about a little over 15,000, there are 3 tavern licenses.
I think I missed something. How is that related to the breeding?
I just want to know how many licenses we pass out for tavern. What is our requirement for tavern licenses?
Okay, thank you.
To kind of compare them to breeding.
Sure.
I think more people like to go to the tavern than breed.
Then breed. That's your point.
I'm
Okay.
just teasing.
Very good.
Other questions or observations?
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So on zoning, the law require that we go to certain areas for breeding. Is there any requirement of where we breed?
Under
By
this
law.
current draft, no. There are minimum space requirements, and the 1,000 square feet would limit, in effect, where it could occur, because many lots would not have 1,000 square feet. Like our multifamily and mobile home zones would not likely have 1,000 square feet of quality outdoor space for the animals, so it would be probably more limited to the larger residential lots that have 1,000 square feet of outdoor space.
But we do not have that now.
We do not have that now. That's in the proposed ordinance, though, but it is not in our code currently.
Other observations, questions? I'll ask a question. How many people are breeding now, dogs or cats?
I spoke with our animal control officer and asked how many we have found in the past year, and he looked at his records and determined there were 3 instances in this year where breeding was found to be occurring illegally.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another question. One of my, this is just my observation, is what I'm going to say here, is that I think we should keep breeding to 3 animals, because I haven't had one person ask me to have a breeding license. Most everybody does not want to have breeding. I know that when our very first meeting, there was one lady that did show up and want a breeding license, but in the meantime, most of the letters I've gotten, most people I've ran to on the street do not want to have the breeding license, but since we have to have it, I don't believe we should have more than 3 licenses. The other thing that concerns me is I still like Bee Hill for raising these dogs, because I don't want to live next to somebody breeding dogs. And I live where we have an association, so I don't have to worry about that. So I feel like I don't want to make somebody else have to live next to somebody breeding dogs, because you could have 20 little pups running around, possibly even 30. And I personally wouldn't want to see that if the female dogs were all breeding about the same time. So at most of the time, you're going to have 8 to 15 dogs in the backyard. I wouldn't want to, again, live next to that. So I just think if you were in Bee Hill, where you have the larger acreage, and it's assigned up there for agriculture and breeding, that's where the breeding license should be, is up in Bee Hill on those lots. And that's where you have our horses and our cows and chicks and the other animals that they're raising up there. And so that's just my suggestion of how many we should have and where it should be zoned for Bee Hill.
Are you saying 3 total for all of Boulder City?
Oh, yes, 3 breeding licenses, like we have taverns.
Can I ask just for a point of clarification? So if I was to come in and get a breeding license, could I hold that breeding license indefinitely then? So like if I was one of the first, would they be the only 3 ever that, if they continued to use that as a business?
They do have to be renewed annually, but yes, that's how we treat the tavern licenses. Essentially, if there's the same thing with the tavern licenses, have to be renewed annually, but if that person's in possession, then then we don't issue another one. Yes.
I kind of see that as apples and oranges, taverns and breeding. But I understand the underlying idea of what you were saying is that we do have things in our city that we limit to be able to provide licenses for. I think my concern with 3 would be if they came in and then 3 were taken, then, you know, it didn't open the door for anyone else. I don't know how that process works. Do I see that we're going to become the breeding mecca of the world? No, I do not anticipate that's going to happen, right? However, I agree with Councilwoman Booth that just in case that phenomenon happened here, that the parameters that we put in place are very, very important. One of my concerns was that you'd end up with neighbors on both sides of you that were breeding, and then you'd be like the Oreo cookie of breeding right in the middle there. And I didn't feel like I also would want to be the person in the middle of the breeding. So I know that when this came up, my concern, and I don't know if anyone else's, was that that could happen. So I would be for maybe minimum space limits and amount of space in between breeding licenses. So if you have one in this area, the next one can't be for who knows how long, so that you don't end up with you're the only game in town for breeding in your neighborhood, and then you're stuck with that. So I don't know if 3 seems like the number for me, but I do understand. I mean, I applaud and appreciate your passion on this and many people's passion. Again, I don't feel like this is going to become a huge situation in Boulder City, but what I do want to do is make sure we have things in place that would actually allow for appropriate breeding as opposed to illegal breeding, and in space, humane, good places for these animals to be able to be there, and not too close to all of our, in close proximity, more than one. So I don't know if anyone else has a feeling on that or a thought or.
I don't have any animals, but I like the idea of the distancing, and I don't know how this would work out. If you draw a circle and you say had 4, but they had to be on each side of town or whatever. But 3 does seem a minimum, and if somebody else comes in, a 4th, I can't imagine that, but if a 4th came in, could they get on the waiting list? So the one who had it for a year would go back on the list? If you're gonna go with 3, maybe there's some type of rotation that would have to take place, just to be fair to somebody else coming in.
Yeah, we could certainly have a waiting list and then when someone
Or a limit.
doesn't
a year
renew
or
their
2.
permit, then we go to that person on the list and call them and say, hey, we have a permit available if you're still interested. That is something we could do. Minimum space requirements are something that jurisdictions have adopted. One of the most salient reference comes to mind is the short-term rentals in Clark County. There does have to be a minimum distance of those. There can't be too many close together. So it's definitely something that we could adopt. We could have a 500-foot buffer, a 1,000-foot buffer between licensees.
Would that work if we had 3 and then they would kind of rotate out? Something to where, like Councilwoman Jorgensen said, the next person would have a chance. So somebody doesn't have a lock on all the breeding, not that they would be, but.
I just wanted to share this because reading the newspaper, 31 million is being spent for animal control in Clark County because they have that many animals that are looking for homes and need to be adopted. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it. And I believe that a lot of Boulder City residents are passionate about it too because of all the animals that are being put down and that all the animals that need homes. So we have plenty of animals for years and years to come just by doing this, but 31 million in Clark County to build their new shelter out there, I think is a lot of money. And one of our former people that worked in Boulder City is going to be working at Clark County, and he's all excited about the new shelter. So anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Other comments? I look at this and, I appreciate you providing what other communities are doing. One of the things I think that we've already heard is how do you, if you don't breed, then do you rotate off and someone else who's been waiting to breed, then they could come on if you forego your year of using it. I know we had talked about zoning, looking at R20, which I don't know that we have a definition of Bee Hill specifically, but I think there's zoning issues there. So I appreciate that. So I like the permit fee that actually allows us to make sure that we are having the resources to inspect. And then how many litters, 1 every 2 years, the age of breeding, 2 years old or older, the limit of 3 dogs or cats total. I like that. So I think we have some rational things as we look at other people, meaning Clark County and Las Vegas. I think they all have wrestled with this in one way or another, and I don't think anybody's come up with a magic figure that would work. So I think we can do what we want to do as a council and say whatever we want. So to be practical, I would just go down the top of the list and say, how many animals do we, just to get a feel for council, how many animals do we want to have for breeding? Do we want to have more than 3 dogs and 3 cats total? Go ahead.
I feel like these were things we had agreed upon before. All these things that are sitting here right now are things that over the course of this long journey we call breeding ordinance have already, that's what we've agreed upon. The thing that's left hanging here for us is, do we limit the permits? Do we limit the space between breeders? Right? And what was the other one that you gave? Or zoning?
Yeah, you could revisit zoning.
So is there an appetite? I heard maybe 3 permits, renewable every year, because we, in essence, have created the strongest ordinance by quite far if you look at all of these together. I mean, 3 dogs or cats total compared to 6 in Las Vegas. Right. 2 years age of breeding compared to 1 year. Or 1 every year. So we've created some pretty stringent rules to pull that down. I would be open to either a number or and did you say you do it in a radius? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
how
a
that
radius.
works? Okay, or a radius. These are good.
So let me clarify. Have we agreed to all of these?
Yes, these have been already directed by council. Of course, you can revisit them if you want to change anything. But this, in the column that says Boulder City draft, this was previously council's direction. And you could think that this is enough, right? Or if the council feels you need additional restrictions, that's where you could visit, the limits on the number of permits, minimum space requirements, or revisiting zoning. Or if you feel this limits it enough, then we can just move forward with how we have it. So it's up to the city council.
So I see how many, if you don't use it, you lose it as it is. And then how many you are allowed to get a year. So how many do you have existing in a year period? If you don't use it, you lose it. And then everything else is already there. Did I miss something?
Well, there.
If I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
Madam City Attorney. The only thing I'm seeing there, Mayor, is that the use it or lose it idea is you can, according to the third line, you could only have a litter 1 every 2 years. So the use it or lose it would have to be on a cycle that coincides with that timing. That's all I observed. Thanks.
Yeah, can I say something? Yeah. What about, Mr. Walton brought up a good point there. So every 2 years you can breed. You can't breed every year. So what if you made it 6, and then that way you could breed, there'd be somebody could breed every year that way?
Well, disrespectfully, you could also
Well, of
just
course
not
you-
require a litter be produced. You could just the person could just get the permit, and if they choose to renew it, it's still their permit.
Okay.
If they choose not to renew it, then we can give it to somebody else. But if you put that they have to produce a litter to keep it, that becomes,
It becomes an unintended consequence.
Yeah.
We're kind of forcing people to do it, where the goal is to encourage them to not do it.
Is anybody upset with 3, or do you somebody want to have more?
Honestly, I would say less.
Okay, I'll go with that.
1.
1 is good with me. I'd be happy to do that.
So you're talking about the number of litters?
No, permits.
Oh, permits.
I'm sorry, no, I was talking about the number of animals breeding.
Oh.
I thought you were looking at line
I
1.
was looking at permits.
The number,
I'm sorry.
oh, I don't know, I don't have a
You don't have
comment on that
a
one, no,
preference?
thanks.
I think 3 sounds good with that cycle
3
out.
what?
3 permits.
Per
Per year, and they cycle out, especially if there's a list, which I doubt that, I don't know, there could be a list, but that way somebody else could jump in every other
If
year,
somebody
however
doesn't
that
want to be a
works.
breeder?
can I make a would there be 3 permits total issued or 3 permits per year so that each year additional 3 permits become available?
Total.
Total, okay. 3 permits total.
So we hear 3 permits per year
Yes.
allowed, and that sounds like,
Because there's 3 breeders now.
okay.
And with that, could we also require at least 1,000-foot distance between those?
Absolutely, I think. Nobody wants to be on top of them.
Isn't that number 4, 40 square feet indoor and 1,000 square feet outdoor?
No, that's in addition.
That's in addition
Yeah,
to.
so nobody can be right next to each other.
Okay.
So you're looking at not doing away with the R20 zoning restriction, just looking at the 1,000 feet? Or you're,
I think I'm the only one that wants the R20.
Yeah, currently there are no restrictions on zoning. There's just a minimum outdoor space of 1,000 square feet. What I'm hearing from council is a limit of 3 permits total and minimum distance of 1,000 feet between licensees.
not to be a stickler, but I'm going to be a stickler. When you say on this form, yes, R20 or higher, is that in place now or not?
That is not in place, no. That I updated this to say there's none in the current draft. So that was from the, yeah, I apologize, there's a handout there that has some more updated information.
Okay.
That was my mistake,
All right.
yeah.
So let me go down then, if I can kind of get my head around this. We're talking it's okay for having 3 dogs and 3 cats total for breeding. We're looking at 2 years old for the animal. We're looking at 1 litter every 2 years limit. We're looking at 40 square feet indoors, 1,000 square feet outdoors. The zoning requirement, we would have it be no closer than 1,000 feet radius. And we are looking at the same fines, 500, 750, and 1,000. And the breeding as a hobby regulation continue to be no.
Number of licenses.
And number of licenses limit to 3. And likewise, if not used, then they rotate off after 3 years.
reassessed it.
or 2 years?
I think they're only good for a year. Didn't you say they were good per year? It was.
Yeah, the idea would be that the person can renew every year. If they choose not to renew that year and they allow it to lapse and expires, then it goes to the next person.
If they continue to renew every year, do we want them to lose their privilege so someone else can do it?
Yeah, there should be a maximum of, if there's a list, and maybe that's the way the wording has to be. If there's someone in a queue, then you have to drop out and let someone else.
That's a policy decision for council.
Well, I don't know how that would work.
So do we want to term them out even if they don't breed?
I think it should be like the tavern license. You get it or you don't get it. If you want to go out of business, then somebody else can have a tavern. Same things with dogs. You can have a
So
breeding
you
license.
you don't want to term them out. As long as they pay their
Their yearly fee, then
they're okay. So we could have up to 3 total licenses at any one time, and if you don't pay your money, then
the next person that wants
next
it.
person goes up.
If they want it, if somebody wants it.
Other thoughts?
So I don't want to keep going around and around, so, but what you're saying is the person could stay on forever?
If they've invested in it, it's kind of like a tavern. If you invest in your animals, then it's a business.
This is about enough to drive a person to drink.
It is.
That's how it's related.
That's why I'm drinking my tea.
Okay, so have we come to some kind of, I'll accept a motion.
Go for it, Cookie.
I'll make a motion. Can I make a motion?
Just one clarifying question. Ned's keeping me out of trouble now.
Okay.
Is that per household, like per, is the limit of per household or per person? Typically, we limit the number of animals to per household, so household would make the most sense.
So per
We all
household.
understand
Yeah.
household, and we're
Okay.
glad for that clarification.
Okay, great.
So I would like to propose having 3 licenses per household and 1,000
Oh,
feet.
No,
Oh, no, not per household. Oh, no. I'm creating havoc here.
Listen,
let's just go down this list.
Okay.
For clarify.
Yes. You want me to do the whole list?
Yeah, go ahead and, we'll go down each
We
one.
did have previous
I-
direction on this list.
Yeah, this
So
was-
unless there's changes, we don't need direction on the full list. But if there's changes, we can.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to clarify then. On this list, we have a number limitation of animals for breeding, 3 dogs or cats total. We have age of breeding, 2 years. We have number of litters, 1 every 2 years. We have space requirements, 40 square feet or 1,000 square feet outdoors. And we have zoning restrictions. We don't have anything at current, so we have to figure what that is. And we have a permit fee that we're okay with, $250 plus actual costs, and that is renewable yearly. And if they don't pay, they lose it, and the fines for the violations we're comfortable with, and the breeding as a hobby is not regulated, so we are left with the zoning restriction
1,000 feet.
And the 3 permits
and the 3
per Boulder City.
per Boulder City, total.
Total.
Per year.
Per year.
Just one clarification on breeding as a hobby. The direction from council was to prohibit breeding as a hobby,
That's
so it
correct.
would not be allowed.
Right.
Okay, just one.
So
And also in my proposal, I would like to propose 1,000 feet distance from
Radius.
each breeding
okay.
breeder.
So I'm
So-
hearing 3 permits total, 1 per household, with 1,000 feet distance requirement between licensees.
Correct. That's my proposal.
Is there a second?
Motion?
Gary seconded, I think.
Did not
Oh.
yet, but
Sorry.
no worries. I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. And would you repeat the motion for us?
3 licenses total, 1 per household, and a distance requirement of 1,000 feet between licensees.
Yearly renewable.
Yearly renewal, and if they don't renew it, then the license will go to the next person on the list who meets the requirements.
Is that your motion?
Yes, that's my
Is
motion.
that your
That's my
second?
second.
Discussion.
None for me.
That's my job. Hearing none.
Oh.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
And it was not 7 o'clock yet.
Well done. Okay. Thank you. And that brings us to number 6. Well, we did it. We just did it.
Yes.
Number 7, city manager's report, claims paid.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no unusual items on the claims paid report.
Go ahead on number 8.
And same with number 8, Finance Department. This is the unaudited report as of the end of December, so for the second quarter of 2020.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
will open public comment for the last time, and person has 3 minutes to speak on whatever they would like. And please identify yourself if you're calling in, 702-589-9629. Anyone here in chambers, welcome to come forward at this time. And if you're still waiting for the phone call, it will be after this person. So you can call in at 702-589-9629 and wait patiently.
My name is Pamela Triolo. First thing I want to say is that is a really strong breeding law. Only change I might put in it would be to require them to be in AKC registered dogs only, rather than your Heinz 57 or whatever, because if there weren't so many dogs out there in shelters, I would much prefer to get certain breeds, but I haven't done that forever because there's just so many dogs in need at the shelters. But what I really wanted to talk about is about 30 years ago, I moved here from a little town called Merrimack, New Hampshire. And it's been on the news recently because they had an Anheuser-Busch factory that was really part of the town. They had soccer fields my kids played on. They had the Clydesdales. They had 2 Dalmatians, Bud and Weiser. It was part of the town. Well, it recently closed. And now they want to turn it into a detention center for ICE. And of course, the town is, they're having meetings upon meetings. And it is now a town of 28,000. So it's a relatively small town. I just want to know, I want our town to be prepared if anything like that happens. I mean, we have the regulation, you can't sell property, but you can, without a vote of the people, but it can be leased. And I'm hoping for transparency. A lot of these towns aren't finding out until it's almost too late. I grew up in Virginia, and there's small towns that they want to build detention centers in and hold more people than are in the town. So I would like there to be some type of discussion eventually and some type of plan if this comes to us, because there is a detention center in Henderson already. And I hate to say, people like to say, well, it'll never come to Boulder City, but yeah, it can. So I just want to make everybody aware, and hopefully we can do something to make have some plans in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone on the phone line, 702-589-9629?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, public comment, go ahead.
Oh, are we ready for me already?
Yes.
Okay, this is Cindy Swanson. I live at 535 Birch Street, and the reason I'm making a comment is because of preparedness for, I don't know, okay. Yes, we're on a delay, and it's confusing me, and I apologize.
Cindy,
Yes.
I would suggest turning your TV volume down so you don't get the feedback.
Okay, take that away, thank you. I think that we're always prepared. When we drive a car, we take driver's lessons. We know what the rules of the road are, and the drivers and pedestrians know the rules. And I think it's important for our community to understand what we can expect if ICE should come to town. I think there has been a lot of confusion and a lot of concern, and I would like to know that our town is prepared. I mentioned this to a group of people earlier today. We have a fire extinguisher in our house. We practice fire escapes. We do fire drills, and we've never had a fire. But I think that I'd like us to be as proactive in this effort as having preparedness for ICE and knowing what we can expect from our local police and knowing what we can expect from our own restrictions. I'll add this one thing. Most of you know that we have a son who has a disability, and people with disabilities are at higher risk for abuse and neglect from police. That's statistically significant. And if somebody told my son to halt, he may not listen to them because he's been told to not talk to strangers. So I think we all need to have a clear understanding of what we can and cannot expect from our law enforcement in the city and if ICE should come into Boulder City. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone? 702-589-9629.
I have a comment. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Council. For the record, Fred Volz. I would like to congratulate the decision you made on item number 6 tonight. I think you put enough guardrails into this that we're not violating state law, but at the same time we're doing the right thing by our animal residents. So I applaud you for coming up with this very measured and limited breeding ordinance that state law requires. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on phone? 702-589-9629. Anyone here in chambers?
Hi there, I'm Pat Murphy. I live on Bryant Court. And I'm going to chime in. I'm not going to talk about animals. You'll be happy about that. Anyway, last May I was at a writer's retreat in Minneapolis with a group of other writers. We stayed in an Airbnb in a lovely neighborhood. And 2 weeks ago, a block from where we stayed, which was a lovely neighborhood, beautiful place, great restaurants, Alex Preddy was shot by the police, not the police, thank God, by ICE, and shot in the back as he lay on the ground, and now that lovely neighborhood looks like a war zone. And so I started thinking about, well, how quickly someplace that's really great can be destroyed. And what would happen if ICE came to Boulder City? Now, I want to know if we can have a plan, how we can be prepared as a community. And I know people say, well, it's not going to happen here. Why would they come to Boulder City? Well, 1 out of 5 people living in Clark County is an immigrant. We have one of the most diverse counties in the United States. So that's 20% of the population are immigrants. And that makes us a very attractive target for ICE. And we're a small town, but size isn't any protection. I mean, now ICE is going into small towns in Wisconsin and just staging raids. And this makes me start thinking about what can I do, what am I permitted to do if I see ICE trucks in the school parking lot and they're trying to go into the school and take immigrant children out of the school. I know from reading, or at least I've read, that ICE can't enter a classroom unless they're given permission or they have a valid judicial warrant. Do the teachers know that? Do the school superintendents know that? If that was a situation, can the teachers call the Boulder City Police Department for assistance? And can I, if I see someone in a mask going to my neighbor's house and demanding entry, and when refused, bringing in a battering ram, should I call the police? Should I call the ACLU? What do I do? So I think we all need to be educated about what as a town we can do. I obviously have more questions than I do answers. I don't have any answers, but I'd like this topic to be on the agenda for a meeting so we can talk about what can we do as a town, and give us some guidance, so that we don't have a situation where we're all flailing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else here?
Leslie Welsh, Del Prado resident. And I think what we're wanting to know and bringing it to you, and whether or not this is the place to do it, we don't know. But it's a matter of how do we go about finding out what is the plan. And I think it would be hard to believe any municipality in the country at this point isn't thinking about it. Somebody's thinking about it. And we would like to know how we find out what that is exactly like. And, you know, it's been, they are federal agents, sure, so there's some deference to that. But anybody paying attention is aware that they are not always lawful. So like Pat started to mention, if they're in our community and they're going into schools unlawfully and someone calls the police, if they're in my neighborhood breaking into someone's house unlawfully, lawfully, maybe we can't do anything. Unlawfully, I feel like we need to know that if we call the police or whoever we call, that they're standing up for our residents. And so I think mostly we just want to know about how we get this started, get a conversation going, and how we get better informed about what the city's plan is. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone line, 702-589-9629, and anyone wants to come forward in chambers?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charm McElry. I am a resident of Boulder City, 679 Bayview Drive. I'm pretty much going to repeat what everybody said, but I did want to go on record that as a member of the community, if I were sitting and having dinner at Tito's, what would I do if something like that happened? I would be watching. And that's what I don't want to do. I want to be able to be proactive in the right way and not get emotional, but know exactly what I should do. Like an earthquake, you need to know exactly where to go. So I just wanted to go on record as saying that, and I hope it will be put on the agenda for one of the next meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here in chambers or 702-589-9629? 702-589-9629. Anyone here in chambers? Anyone on the phone line? We will close the public comment. Thank you, and go to City Council's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a pretty busy 2 weeks. The Nevada League of Cities had their board meeting actually today, this morning, and I received an orientation package. I got appointed to some internal board assignments, and we also talked about dates for upcoming conferences. They need volunteers who would be mentors for newcomers like myself. We also discussed an award/plaque presentation for Congressman Mark Amadea, who's retiring from Congress. And it was my first meeting, taking over for the mayor there, and I look forward to representing Boulder City on this board. I also attended Nellis Air Force Base Red Flag DV Day, And that was a tour of Red Flag on Nellis Air Force Base, and we shadowed the international press as they conducted interviews for pilots that are foreign nationals, which were Australian and British pilots that come in to fly with our pilots during Red Flag. So that was a day of representing the CMC over at Nellis Air Force Base. And I also had the honor to host the Scout Troops number 27 here at the City Council, right here in this room. And those kids are our next generation, and they are pretty bright. They ask good questions. They listened first, and they asked good questions. They caught me on a couple of them. And so I was encouraged to see that the kids are interested in what we do as a city council and how ordinance and laws are made and how they could be impacted by them and what they could do, but most importantly, when they grow up, what they want to be. So that was a really good meeting to have with the Scouts. And I also got the honor to be at the Hospital Foundation Gala, who honored Cindy Ford, who is owner of Southwest Diner, and Mr. Allen and Christy Kerner, who I didn't know, but I met that night. It was a beautiful event. If you didn't go this year, I suggest that you would go next year. You really would enjoy yourself and just see how Boulder City impacts the hospital through donations from residents. And it was just a beautiful event. So that was my week. Really busy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to share that I'm sometimes a nosy Rosie, and the Park Service has grass growing around their property, and I thought, oh my gosh, we're supposed to be cutting down on water, and they're putting grass in instead of fake grass. But they're doing something very unique. They found some clover that doesn't take a lot of water, and they're putting the sprinkling system underneath the grass so that it doesn't waste, nothing evaporates. So it's really very water efficient, and so I thought that was really interesting, and it's here in Boulder City, and we can see how that goes. Also, I was lucky enough to go to the gala for the hospital, and I think as they talked about it, it's our hospital. It's kind of like our hotel. It belongs to us, and if we didn't have that hospital, our insurance would be so much higher. And so I just think how much I appreciate that hospital and how much we should all work to see that we get to keep that hospital here in Boulder City. And if you've never been and you get the opportunity to go to the ER, it's a great opportunity. Also, I wanted to say the Boy Scouts, it was so much fun having them here, and I thought I'd talk about the swimming pool, and they would love that and have a lot of questions. They weren't so interested at all. But that's how it goes. But one of the things that I was really surprised at is the helmet. Sherry brought up the helmet law, and those kids knew all the rules and knew that you had to have a helmet on and what would happen if you didn't have a helmet. They shared how one little boy had a helmet and fell off his scooter and broke both arms, but his head was okay. So that to me was just amazing how knowledgeable they were. And then also we had our workforce meeting today. Not a lot going on, stuff coming in the future. We're going to have one of the gentlemen from Workforce come and speak to us in the next couple of months. And that's all I have to report, Mayor.
Thank you.
It was really fun, and one of the really fun parts is that so many of us showed up to talk to the Boy Scout troop here, and they were more interested in how much we made, how we got our jobs, what our jobs were. But in the end, we actually did a mock vote on helmet. We talked about how we would have the discussion, and the five all were in favor of the helmet. So, I mean, that's the population that we were hoping to target. And so it was nice to see them talk about that. I 100% agree. As you saw tonight, the Boulder City Museum and Historical Association came and spoke to us, and that's one of the boards that I've had the privilege of serving on. And just as a side note, want to say that in the last 4 to 5 years since I've been there, I've seen them working very, very hard to be able to keep that treasure here and then to build upon it. And we're blessed to have, just like you said, a hospital here. We're such a small community. I think sometimes we take it for granted and we assume we deserve to have a hospital or we deserve to have a museum, right? But I think it's a gift or a blessing, and that we should cherish it, and that includes supporting it and helping keep it going. Then outside of the community, but yet inside the community, I had a chance this last 2 weeks to go to the Clark County School District Community Dream Session and the Clark County School District State of the District, where Superintendent Ebert spoke, and she's new to the position, and she has some goals, and she is not afraid to shake it up a bit, so maybe we'll see some new things there. And her goals are for pre-kindergarten and early literacy, middle school mathematics, which we're excited to hear, workforce and college readiness, which is what we need, improving climate and culture through her Destination District Strategic Plan. And that's the Community Dreams session that we got to go to. The mayor and I were there with other mayors, other stakeholders, Nevada State College, sitting at the table with the person who runs that, and talked about, and they wanted to hear, I really felt like it, the needs and the things that could change for the district, and recognizing there is a need for some change, but also being proactive in how that change would happen. And just maybe a little shout out, he doesn't know I'm going to do this, but to our mayor. I do not think that we recognize the value of his connections inside this Clark County area and how much it benefits us here in Boulder City, where we are a small little fish in a very, very big pond, to have a pretty big fish right here who knows quite a few of the little bit bigger fish. And they respect him and they love him. And wow, I will have to include that when the scouts ask me how much I make now.
Yeah.
Depends on how much I compliment you, is that? But it is a gift to have that for us. So with that said.
I hope the scouts know we earn about 5 cents an hour.
Yeah.
I just need $5.
Yeah, hey, good for you. We will continue in a level 1 water shortage per the Department of Interior standards. It's the same we've been for a while. At the CRC, we did, so the water, at the Water Authority, we approved funding for a specifically designated firefighting line, water line, to go down to the substations down in the El Dorado Valley. And today with the CRC, we approved proceeding with the contract. And so the CRC does all the contracting and arranging for construction, and the various agencies, depending on who it's benefiting, will pay for it. So we did that today, and as many of us remember, we had a substantial battery energy storage system fire down there, and they didn't have firefighting water. And so they had to shuttle back and forth. It took people away from the actual activities and made it last longer and potentially spread further. But anyway, that line was approved and will be constructed in the near future. So that's a positive thing for Boulder City coming from the CRC. And also the CRC has access to roughly 22% of the hydropower from the Parker Davis facility further down the Colorado River. And today we approved the final distribution of that. Boulder City will receive about 7% of the Parker Davis power through WAPA distribution. What does that mean to us? It means basically firm power, which means dependable power, but it also means power that is generally less expensive than power available out on the open market. So we will see that directly as ratepayers, a benefit to Boulder City. The hydrology going forward is about the same. To get beyond the rather dismal 52% of the snowpack that we're currently at for the year, we would need, as it was said, a fabulous February and a miraculous March. The odds are pretty low for that. So continue on in the shortages and the water conservation plans. Pretty big deal for the Convention Authority after the college football playoff that was held earlier in January. Within a matter of days, the handoff occurred to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, which we will be hosting here at Allegiant Stadium the season 2026 college football playoff, which occurs in January of 2027. Big deal for Las Vegas. The economic impact of that stands to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, if not beyond. And there continue to be planning and bookings for countless large-scale global interest conventions and events and concerts and so forth. And the brand is present everywhere to try and continue to grow the destination, which continues to grow the county at large, of which we're a part. And I've said it multiple times, as goes Las Vegas, so goes 30% of our budget. The C-tax, or consolidated tax is what it's known as, which includes all of the, well, nearly all, not the hotel tax or the gaming tax, but all the other income that comes from visitation as well as local expenses, goes to combine into the C-tax, which benefits Boulder City directly, and we get a good share of that. So good for LVCVA for their continued work. Interestingly, the Circa property held a Canadian promotion where they exchanged Canadian US for, or Canadian dollar for US dollar 1-for-1, which was a really big deal for them because it's about 30% less for Canadian dollar value compared to US. So that was a big deal. And the properties are doing all they can to help offset the diminished socio-political visitation impacts. As we all were probably here local, I think all of us were here a few years ago when the 1 October tragedy occurred, and there is big plans combined with the Convention Authority, Clark County, all the properties to proceed forward with a 1 October memorial, which will help us to recognize those who lost their lives, those whose families lost their lives, and those both professional and volunteers that responded to that tragedy to buoy up our community, and that we might always remember the things that occurred here at that time, and continue to pull together as a greater community with heart and remembrance and reverence truly for life and for the loss of it that can occur. And that's all of the report I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I was fashionably late to the hospital gala, about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours late. But I attended the Veterans in Politics, where a general, retired general, was asked to share a war story. And so he got up, and he was a pilot, and he was in a position where he'd been in the Pentagon, et cetera, but he was sharing the story with ISIS back in the day when they had taken out some people, and the military was tasked with taking them out. And so they were in England at the time, and they sent 6 jets off, and for one reason or another, refueling, etc., only one was left, and the general asked his team if that person who was piloting the plane could go ahead and literally take out ISIS. And they unanimously said yes, that 26-year-old pilot can accomplish it. He did it. He took him out. And the military, sometimes we don't really fully appreciate how much they protect us worldwide and right here in our hometown. So I had a wonderful experience, and when I came back to Boulder City, the lights were on, so I was able to stop off at the gala and saved a lot of money because the bidding was over. But what a wonderful town we live in, so many people doing so many good things. And that being said, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
That was a good one.